Hey guys.
Hey. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. How's everybody doing? Let us know, please, if you can hear us somewhere in the comments, just so we can make sure that you guys can see us and hear as well. So, welcome to the second episode of Trail Talk Live. I'm Gus and
Tony.
So today we want to talk about a little bit about race preparation. We had a couple people ask us a couple different questions since last week, and first I want to say thank you for watching it, and thank you for the feedback, and thank you for the questions. So inspired by Edith, right? She asked us a few questions about the upcoming races, and you know what she has, the 50 miler or 100K.
She is going to be running the 50 mile at Sean O'Brien in the Santa Monica.
So she was just kind of asking a couple pointers and stuff. So that inspired the subject for today. So with that said, go ahead.
Okay. Hi guys. Happy Tuesday again, like Gus said. Before we start, I just want to make a couple quick announcements. First of all, we have our upcoming Sean O'Brien training run this Sunday. We're going to meet at 8 a.m. in the park where the race starts. Please come all the way into the park, pay the $12. It helps the park, helps the trails stay maintained and clean for us to be able to go out there and run. If you don't want to pay the $12, just carpool with someone. We're going to hopefully get started on the run between 8:15 to 8:30, depending on how soon everyone is ready. The gates open at 8, so I know it's going to take a few minutes to get everyone started, but we'll start as soon as we can. The longest option is 22 miles, but if anyone wants to do less, or even if you want to do more, go for it. You have our support for 22 miles. We're going to have an aid station at the turnaround and potentially somewhere halfway. So if you want to do more or less, feel free.
So it's going to be 11 out and back?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but anybody that wants to do less miles, by all means, you can do 3 and back. You can do 5 and back. Whatever you feel. Whatever you're feeling like that day. So don't think, just because we're saying 22 or 11, whatever, that you can't come out. So by any means, if you want to do 5, if you want to do 10, whatever, you can just go. It's not gonna be a loop style. It's gonna be just out and back. So by all means, let's see. So go ahead, man. Start.
All right.
Let's see.
So today's topic, like Gus said, is how to prepare for race day and how to put a plan together for race day. So this is a little bit different than training for the race. This is solely focused on how to go about executing race day. For me, it starts the week of the race. So I have quite a few notes that I'm going to go through, just basically bullet points, things that most of you probably already know, or if you don't already know it, it's just going to ring a little bell in your head, and it's going to help you prepare, or so I hope. So the first thing that I try to focus on the week of the race is to make sure that I'm eating well, and by eating well I mean trying not to have any sort of junky food. So I focus on having good high quality fat, good high quality protein, and I'm very selective with the carbs that I have the week of the race. It's a misconception that as endurance runners we have to constantly be pounding carbs. In my opinion, that's not necessarily true based on the training and the diet that I follow. So the week of the race, if I am going to have carbs, I'm going to hopefully stick to leafy greens and vegetables. I like sweet potatoes. Basically any sort of high quality carb like quinoa, lentils, I'm going to avoid potato chips, French fries, tortillas, things that are really processed and don't really have their place in my diet. Second thing, I want to make sure that I'm hydrating very well every single day leading up to the race, especially that final week. Not just by drinking water, but also making sure that I have electrolytes. What I like to personally do the week of the race is either mix into my water like Noon tablets or some sort of electrolyte mix. The less sugar, the better. So that I'm getting as much electrolyte as possible without a bunch of sugar added. And basically making sure that I'm drinking before I get thirsty, which is pretty much the same thing that you would do on race day anyway. I also focus a lot on getting plenty of rest the week of the race. So for me, rest doesn't mean not doing anything. It just means doing easy runs and easy workouts. Nothing where I'm going to be completely out of breath and completely burnt out by the workout or the run. Basically just keeping the blood flowing and the muscles moving. And then what I would probably consider the very most important thing to do the week of the race, and I'm sure Gus will agree with me as well as a bunch of you, is to make sure that you're sleeping as much as possible, as often as possible the week of the race. Unfortunately, the way that it goes is you're so nervous the night before a race that you're probably not going to get very good sleep. So you want to make sure that the days leading up to that, you've gotten as much sleep as possible, best quality sleep as possible. So make it a priority to go to bed earlier than you normally would if you can. If you have things that are coming up that need to get done in the evening, you kind of have to sacrifice whether you really need to get it done or whether you want to get sleep. If someone asks you to go hang out, let's say Thursday night, and you have a Saturday race, well, that Thursday night is probably the most crucial night of the week because that's when you're going to really be able to bank the most sleep. Would you rather make sure that you're going to be primed and rested for race day, or go out and get some beers? Yeah.
Up to you. Yeah, definitely 2 nights out for sure. That's when I try to get the most sleep. The whole week leading up to the race, more than anything, I like to taper 2 weeks out instead of just 1 week out, like race week, because that way I can get all the little things out of the way that I will normally be doing the week of the race. That way I don't have to worry about all that, because it's not just sleep, but also stress. All the other things that you gotta take care of. You gotta take care of this and that, and go in here, go in there, go to the store, little things. Definitely, sleep is crucial, because even if you're not running, but if you're not sleeping well, if the week of the race, let's say you only do a couple runs, just to stay mobile. That's what I like to do. I don't like to rest the whole week and feel stiff the day of the race, the first 4 or 5 miles, which is what I used to do. But I found that actually works better for me if I taper 2 weeks out. I take the week before the race really easy, and then the week after the race I just keep it moving, nice and simple. That helps me not feel like stiff and achy, or like it takes me like 3-4 miles to warm up before I actually start feeling good and want to see, okay, how's this gonna go? Am I gonna be able to push today, or how much, or where? What else you got?
All right, so moving on from that,
we're gonna bring Nelson in a little bit, in a couple minutes. We're gonna bring him up so he can also tell us a little bit about his approach.
Yeah. Plus our guest for the night. We'll bring him on in a little bit too.
Yes.
But anyway, moving on. Positive mental attitude. You have to have the most positive outlook on life, not just the race, but on life as you possibly can that week. Don't let anything that shouldn't be stressing you out stress you out. You want to go into the race as happy and motivated and geared up for battle as possible. So anything that you can do to avoid stress that week and keep just a positive mental attitude in everything that you're doing that week is going to ultimately help you on race day. You want to make sure that week, whenever you find yourself with a little bit of free time, just take the time to meditate and visualize how race day is going to go. That's an important part of just knowing how you're going to execute on race day. Is a few days out, just start thinking, mile 20, mile 30, mile 40, mile 60, 70, 80. What are you going to do when things get tough? So anything that you can do to visualize a win, and by win I mean a finish, is going to help you. You also have to take the time that week to accept that come race day, no matter how prepared you are, no matter how hard you've trained, the fact of the matter is that at some point something is probably not going to go how you planned, and something is not going to go right.
Absolutely.
It's very, very, very rare that a race will go 100% right. And, we have to be prepared for that. And it's not so much sometimes about being prepared by, if I start bonking, I'm going to take a gel. What I mean by that is, if my crew gets totally lost on their way to see me at mile 80 when everything hurts and my body's starting to shut down, and I get to the aid station an hour before them, and I know that I have to keep going in order to make the cutoff, what are you going to do? So that's what I mean by that.
Which happens. Happens all the time.
From experience, I can tell you as well that one of the most important things to do the week of the race is to go through a gear and nutrition check. Take inventory of everything that you plan to use on race day, both gear, clothing, and your nutrition and hydration, and make sure that you have it all and that everything is in good condition. During
really important.
My last 100, I ran into a situation where literally the night before I was supposed to leave for the race, as I'm packing everything away for the last time, I noticed that my hydration pack, which I had been training in all summer and I was planning to use for the race, had a big old tear in it. Unfortunately, there was no way that I was going to be able to use it other than to hold like one thing in it on the left chest. And it was a crucial part of my plan. So luckily I was able to get it replaced right away by Running Warehouse. So if any of you guys use Running Warehouse, I back them up because they came through for me that time.
Hey, they overnighted one too.
They overnighted me a replacement pack right away
to their Airbnb. Yeah, so that big shout out for sure.
But I learned from that.
That's worth a shout out right there.
So,
not only that, also there's San Diego. Remember the guy that we were at Noble Canyon?
Yeah.
First time Noble Canyon, it was like mile 43, I think. 43 or 46. There's San Diego 100. There was this one guy that he was using a pack with a bladder setup. And, what do you know? The bladder starts leaking, starts just leaking water down his whole back. And, he gets to the station, zero water, and they're trying to refill it, and it's just leaking everywhere. And so what do you do at that point? You train with a bladder, okay, this is your setup. So, at that point, you just had to improvise. And, just like we are doing this year, starting this year, we're trying to go cupless. We're trying to have less trash out there on the trail. So this race was also trying to follow, adapt to being cupless. So they didn't have any cups or stuff at that particular station. So what ended up happening was one of the volunteers had an empty regular water bottle, and somebody else had another one. So they had to refill those and put them in his bag, and that's it. And
off you go.
Off you go. Have a good race. So luckily the guy was a trooper, and at first he was almost that can devastate you. That can throw your game way off. But they told him, no, look, let's just do this and that, because they spent a good 10 minutes, I think, trying to fix it. And
they even busted out the duct tape.
Yeah, even duct tape. And,
it just wasn't holding.
Yeah, at that point they're like, you know what, not just move on. Just let's not spend all this time on this, and then it's not gonna work. What else you got?
So
we're gonna bring Nelson in right now too, so he can give us a little. Oh, there's Edith. Hi, Edith.
We've been waiting for you. So I'm gonna just mention two more things that I like to do the week leading up to the race. I like to get a massage if possible. If it's a Saturday race, I like to get it usually Tuesday or Wednesday, because if I get a deep massage, there's a possibility that I might be sore for 1 or 2 days after it. So usually if I get it Tuesday, that'll be my last running day of the week. And again, easy run. I'll get the massage that day, and then I'll totally rest Wednesday and Thursday. And if any soreness ensues, I know that I'm going to be okay by Friday, and then I'll go out and do a quick shakeout. Something that I have found useful for me, and I don't necessarily recommend this for everyone. I know there's some of you here that probably already practice this. I do a lot of intermittent fasting, and I have found that the week of the race, early in the week, again, probably Monday or Tuesday, if I do a 24-hour fast, so water only, minerals and electrolytes only, that helps my body totally rejuvenate itself and regenerate itself. Gives my gut some rest, so that everything that I eat from then on, again, sticking to nutritious foods, is just going to totally benefit my body and my muscles and help me be ready for race day.
And that actually helped this guy during San Diego at the end. And we'll do a whole episode probably just on that, just for those of you that had no clue what we're talking about. A lot of people do, a lot of people don't. And there's a lot of things to it, it's simple, but it's not easy. And at the same time, there are a couple of ways that you can work yourself up to it. You want to bring Nelson in right now, or what else you got?
I got a couple of little things before I move on to Nelson.
And again, all these things, you might have already heard it. It might be something that makes sense, but sometimes we forget about those things as simple as they are, or maybe as common as you can hear all day. Oh, are you doing a race? Yeah, I'm doing this. Okay, don't do this, don't do that. You might hear it 100 times a year, but the race day comes, and what do? The exact same thing that you're not supposed to do. So just brushing up on things.
So something that I have found useful in the last couple races that we've done is to make sure that we plan logistics ahead of time as well. So mostly plan the night before what time you're absolutely trying to be in bed by, and what time you need to be out of bed the next morning. Make sure that if you're going to have breakfast, you make time for that in the morning. On top of making time to get ready, set a time that you know that you need to be out of the door and in the car and on the road by. If you need to get gas, do that the night before.
Yes.
Don't leave it for the morning of the race when you're supposed to be on the way to the race. Plan the route if you can of how you're going to get to the race the night before, and make sure that you accommodate for any time that it's going to take you to get there. Not only that, but make sure that you make time to park,
That's
to
important.
go to
That's
check-in,
important.
to go to the
To
drop
go to
back
the restroom.
station, and to go poop. Last year at Way Too Cool 50K, I did not realize that race is so huge, and I knew that it was a huge race because it's the biggest 50K in the United States, but I didn't realize, it just didn't click in my head that it was probably going to take us a very long time to park. It probably took us 20 minutes to park, and then from where we parked, it probably took us like an extra 15 minutes just to walk to the start.
It was a little over a mile
Yeah.
that we had to walk back.
So, now I know I need to make time for those unforeseen things.
Another thing is give yourself a little extra time. I'm usually the one that's like running right up to the start as the race is gonna start, but I'm always taking a gamble because you never know if you're gonna get a flat tire. You never know if there's gonna be something on the road. I mean, hopefully not, right? But it can be a roadblock somewhere. It might be an accident. It can be, especially some of the trail races or canyon roads. And it's possible that something may have happened and the road is closed and now you're late. So now you're having to figure things out and this and that. So what I normally like to do is the night before or maybe 2 nights before, when I know there's no traffic, like late at night, I check, okay, how much time is going to take to get there in the morning. Similar, right? Because usually you're leaving around 5 a.m. to go drive to the race site. So it's usually similar if you check 2-3 days before that or after traffic dies, something like 10, 11 p.m. But yeah, you always want to give yourself a little extra time, and I'm not the best at that. I gotta admit it. I'm usually going right up to it. That's just me. But if I get a flat tire, or if I go up to my car and for some reason it won't start, as it happens in the morning, that's gonna throw a whole nother ball in the game. So just make sure you give yourself a little extra time. Also, especially the bigger races, to go to a restroom and to park. The earlier you get there, the better. You're gonna find a closer parking spot and you're gonna park a lot quicker, and you can get to the restroom a lot quicker. One time I was volunteering with Nelson at 30K. Which one was it? The one by Pasadena? What was that one called? Monrovia. We were volunteering there, and I was surprised that people were getting there an hour and a half before the race. I thought, okay, an hour, but it was actually an hour and a half. I think the race was gonna start at like 6:30. We were there at 4:30, but by 5 we already had people there. So it was very interesting to see how early some people get there. And I mean, it makes sense. It's great. It's great because then they had time to warm up. They had time to go to a restroom, go pick up their stuff, go walk back to the car, put it away, get everything set up. Not rushed at all. And then you also had people just like trying to park anywhere they can just so they can go up to the start, which is usually me. But normally I have somebody with me so they can just drop me off, whatever. But give yourself a little extra time. You never know what's going to happen. What else you got before we bring Nelson in?
One thing that I think is very important, based on my own experience, I use my phone a lot for work. And even on my days off, I have people calling me, texting me with some work-related thing. So the couple of days before the race, anyone who I think needs to potentially get a hold of me on race day, I just flat out let them know that I have a race, and don't call me, don't text me, don't bother me, because that's the last thing that I want on race day. There's nothing worse than being halfway through an ultra when everything is hurting and maybe your mind is starting to go, and all of a sudden getting a call or a text or an email from work, and all of a sudden you're like even more defeated because you have some other responsibility that you now have to worry about.
Yeah, you want to eliminate any sort of stressor, any sort of, for me, that's one of the biggest things when I do a race. Nothing matters. For me, I have the ability to just zone out, and even if my watch is transferring notifications, I just, not now. I have the ability of just zoning out and just not even looking at notifications. A lot of the times I don't even look at when the mile clicker goes off or stuff like that. Let's see, we are 25 minutes in, so let's bring Nelson in real quick so he can give us a couple pointers. So let's see if we can get him. In the meantime, like Tony was saying, the night before, don't.
Shit! I'm in
what
there.
I tried to do is not to go. Hey. There he is. What's up, Nelson?
I didn't even know it was. Okay, go. My bad. I didn't even stop you.
What's up, Nelson? So yeah, what I was saying is the night before, or even 2 nights before, I don't like to have like a big heavy meal, because especially something that has like a lot of seasoning, like heavy stuff that is not your usual, anything new, because you can eat something and catch a bug and then not feel good the race morning, or sometimes another thing that I used to do is like, oh yeah, I got a carb load, and go have like a bunch of pizza or pasta the night before, and then literally then the morning of the race my stomach would just be heavy and I'll be like dragging, and maybe I had energy but I just didn't feel right. I just felt like just heavy in my stomach. I just didn't feel like I could move, which kind of happened to me at the relay last week, because I had a big dinner after the 50K, and we were not planning to push the pace at all, but ended up getting a little happy with it. So yeah, at the end, I felt like I was gonna throw up at the end, not just from the effort, but also because my stomach was just like heavy. I just felt like really stuffed. Yeah. So what about you, Nelson? What are give us 2-3 things that you do before race? You prepare so that you feel like, okay, that you're ready when they say go.
Damn. So what's up, fam, trail fam? One of the main things that I do that I've noticed when I have a long race is that I try to eat 2 hours before, not too heavy on the meal. I've tried multiple things. I'm still learning. I've only been in this game for like 2 years, and I'm yet to still learn like the niches of like what it is to be like my for sure day race thing to do. For right now, I know that eating at least a good amount of carbs in the morning with some good healthy fats, very minimal on the protein, to be honest. I feel like if you eat a lot of protein in the morning and your meal, you get kind of gassy because you're running, and then the way your digestive system works is like if you're running and you have food in your stomach, it's really hard to digest and to transfer blood throughout your system. So when you're running now, you're having trouble with blood flow, digestion, and then I forgot the name of what I was going to say, but it's the transfer of energy. So you start lacking energy instead of having that full-blown energy. So what I've noticed is
you're using all your energy resources to process whatever you had instead of actually to move. Yeah, your legs and stuff.
Yeah, so it's really hard to kind of whatever you ate to produce that as energy. So I always stick to like at least 2 to 3 hours before race. And then I like to have a nice little cup of coffee, and once it's time to go, just race, get some caffeine in, and just blaze it through the trail. While you're running through the trail, the stations, I like to stick with the gels. They're kind of hard to suck down after just drinking. I mean, not even drinking, like just swallowing those things down. They're just I don't think they're good.
So,
It's just
so
sodium and
at what point do
sugar.
you start? At what point do you start drinking and having gels, or like? At what point do you start? Like, do you start 5 miles in or an hour in? Do you go by time, or how do you determine when to start eating and drinking for you?
How I determine it is based on like my body weight. I try to stick to at least 200 calories every 30 minutes. So if I don't feel like I really need to eat those 200 calories in the 30 minutes, then, you know, I'll space it out to an hour. But then I have to remember that I have to eat now 400 calories to maintain the energy. But I've messed around with things, and I've gone without eating maybe 6 to 7 miles, and also without drinking any water. Just because it's something that I've been testing out, not having too much water, so I don't have to carry too much water, because then, you know, you waste more energy carrying more stuff in your pack. So yeah, pretty much 6 to 7 miles. I like to eat some food, but it's also backfired on me, because later on in the race, maybe 2-3 hours in, since you didn't eat those past 2 hours, now your body is kind of like shutting down a bit. So once I have sugar, it's like my blood sugar rises, but it's a spike, so it drops again. So I have to remember that.
You have that big spike and then the big crash.
Yeah, it crashes just because I was kind of like fasting from energy source. I got energy, I spiked up, and then it falls back down. So I tend to try to eat now every 30 to 40 minutes. I'll maybe 2 gels or some type of candy that I could eat. I'll have it while I'm running. At the station,
Just to maintain the level. Okay.
Yeah, it's all about maintaining. One of the things that I've learned is about maintenance. Continue the maintenance that you're doing throughout the run. Because like I said, I've noticed my energy just drop when I all of a sudden eat or drink. A spike for like maybe 3 miles, and then I just have a horrible crash. But I'm very strong-minded, so I push through it until I get to the next station, and then I eat, and then I'm just like, I'm not doing that again. But like I said, I'm trying things out. But if it's anyone out there that would take this advice, would be at least every 30 minutes, try to eat some food. Whatever you feel that or energizes you, eat it. One thing that I do like now carrying is like some type of nut butter in my pack.
Yes.
And if I see some types of sweets in the stations, like maybe the goose, then I'll mix the goose with my peanut butter or almond butter or whatever. I'll mix both of them, and it gives me a nice steady energy throughout the race. That's what I did for Rio de Lago 100. I was chopping down, candy and peanut butter, and that gave me that consistency. I was never dropping in and out.
Nice. See, one thing I had happen to me before during, I don't know if it was my second or third 50 miler, but because I was new to the distance, and on my first one it didn't happen since it was my first 50 miler, I was more diligent about eating and drinking. So when I got to the second one, I was like, oh, I've done this before. Okay, so I kind of let my guard down a little bit, and that was one thing that happened to me. Actually, for the next couple of races, the next couple long races, that I started getting like very, very dehydrated. And what happened was, I was able to figure it out afterwards, but what happened was, I can run a marathon or a 50K without drinking a lot of water. But the thing is, I can go 20 miles with limited water, and even push, to 26 on a marathon, or even 32 on a 50K. But after that, once I finish, I go and start rehydrating, drinking, eating, and all that. So what I didn't do for the second and third 50 milers that I did, that caused me to get like actual urinary infection, and I actually had a really hard time the last 20 miles, because, man, I had to go every quarter mile. I had to stop, and it hurt like hell. But it was because I was just that far into dehydration. It's because I wasn't used to drinking a lot of water the first 20. So because I knew, okay, like on a marathon, I would stop at 26 and rehydrate. I never got to that point of depletion where I was like really hurting. So
I think
now what I do is, like, for sure, the first 20, make sure I stay up on it to drink so I don't fall into that deficit. So and with the calories too, I've been trying to do the same thing with the calories, and also when like, do you prefer to eat stuff that you have with you or stuff from the stations or
just hold that thought real quick, just so people could kind of understand. What happened to you was one of the things that a lot of people don't, take in consideration is the sodium that people consume, the carbs, and the water. So in your case, you were dehydrated. There was not much sodium in your system or carbs for you to hold the water in your body. So when that happens and you're drinking water, you're just ending up sweating it, peeing it out. You're peeing all the salt. So when there's no salt in combination with carbs in your system, then you're not retaining water. You're actually just letting it loose. So then you think you're hydrating, but you're actually doing the opposite. You're dehydrating yourself more. It's one of the things that I'll talk about later on when we get into subjects of nutrition and stuff. Just so
we'll keep bringing it up. All right, so we are a little bit more than halfway, and we want to talk to Cesar for a little bit. Is there any last thing that you want to mention?
I say just be consistent. I say go ahead and try different things, and then just substitute things that work, and take out those things that don't work, and then figure out a plan. Everybody's different. Everybody's diet's different. Everybody's preferences, desires, everything's different. So I can't really say like one thing it's the right way to do it, but I just stick to the rule. At least every 30 minutes, have some food in you, maybe 200-300 calories, and just go.
Awesome. Okay, so you go by time and by calories. Okay, so cool. All right, well, we're gonna let you go so I can show one of my little tricks over here before we bring Cesar in. Well, and if you guys have any other questions, anything else that you want to mention, or anything else that you want us to cover, don't forget that we can always answer your question on a later episode. So, real quick, before we bring Cesar in, I want to show you what I do. So normally, since I started doing the longer races, I like to, because I suck at climbing for sure. So I like to do this. I like to print out the elevation profile for the race. So just so that I know every race out there has this. Unless you're doing a marathon, they still have it. There are plenty of websites that you can find this. But on a trail race, 99% of the time they have this. So what I do is I go and print it, and then I decide, okay, how many miles I'm going to go without eating, drinking, this and that, or where the climbs are. More than anything, where the climbs are. Because for me, once I print this out, this is what I do myself to put it together. So if you guys can see, what I like to do is mark the sections where the stations are. So once I have the stations laid out, what I do is, okay, I start checking out how many miles it's going to be, more or less, how long it's going to take me. Do I want to take this climb easy to warm up? Do I want to attack this climb? Do I want to? So I plan what I'm going to eat where, depending on the distance, and also depending on what's coming next. So I know if I'm going to go do a long downhill, I cannot have a full stomach and feel comfortable running downhill. So what I do, for the most part, is to eat before a climb. Or if I'm eating on the go, I wait until the climb is coming. So once I have my profile, my plan set up, so on the top, personally, I like to write down the stations and the miles, and then on the bottom, I'll make my notes. Okay, this is going to be 1 hour, 2 hours from here to here. I want to have this many calories. I want to have this much drink. I want to have this much water. And it wasn't until I started doing that I started feeling, okay, I can push this, I can push that, and gave me a little confidence. I don't carry this with me. I do this ahead of time. And what I do is I just snap a picture on my phone. So we all carry our phone, you know, unless you're competing to win the race, you know, like you're gonna carry your phone. So I'm not gonna have this with me. This is gonna fall apart, or I'm gonna drop it somewhere, leave trash on the trail. But I can easily snap a picture and then just pull my phone out and then see, okay, what's coming next? Was this? Was that? And it's really important, especially when you're not feeling well, when things are falling apart, when you're like, okay, because you can go by feel all day, no problem. Whatever you feel like eating, you come up to a station, and one of the rules of thumb that you hear all the time is like, okay, as soon as you get to the station, whatever looks good, that's what your body's craving. Get that, whether it's potatoes, or it's candy, Skittles, or salt, or if they have broth, like soup on the long races, like 100Ks, 100 miles. But there are times that you're in the pain cave and you're just hurting and you're not even thinking straight. So for me, if I have this on my phone, sometimes if I'm just like really exhausted and I can't think straight, all I gotta do is pull my phone out and look, okay, let's see, okay, mile 50, I had planned to drink some two servings of electrolyte and some carbs and maybe some potatoes. Okay, and off I go. I already plan all that ahead of time. I already know. I already practice all this in training. I already know. Okay, this climb took me this long. This climb is gonna take me 1 hour, 2 hours. Okay, I need this much water for the next climb because it's a tough climb, and I know it's gonna take me. I mean, this weekend we did one climb that took us over an hour. Well, like almost 2 hours, I want to say. Yeah. So I needed to make sure I had enough water for that because nobody was gonna come and save me. So that's the biggest secret of mine, I guess you can say, that I've been able to put together. I'm still working on it. I'm still perfecting it. I'm still, you know, it's never gonna be 100%. I'm always gonna be trying new things. But ever since I started doing this, I became a lot more confident in my race day execution because, I don't know, just having that backup plan to fall back into. Like, you can go by feel, you can go, okay, I feel good, I want to eat, I don't want to eat. But if you get to a point where you're just not even thinking straight, that you just want to go and finish, and you fall back to what your plan was. So you can just, you know, pull it out and see, okay, because you put this together when you were in your full senses and thinking straight, not when you're 25, 30 miles in and, you know, tired, exhausted, delirious, whatever, right? Let's see how much time we have. Okay, so we're gonna try to get our friend Cesar in here real quick. So you want to just set back on the get her set up. Another thing that I would say during race day that's really important. Like I said, this is almost like your backup plan when you're not thinking straight and things just fall apart. You're not.
What's up?
You're not going just by feel. Hey, there he is. Okay, we're gonna switch the camera around so we can see you. There we go. What's going on, Cesar? How you doing?
I was just doing some burpees. Yeah, right.
Oh, there you go. Hey, I don't doubt it.
No.
Okay, so for those who don't know who Cesar is, Tony's gonna let us know a little bit, so you guys know who he is.
Well, Cesar, first of all, congratulations. Congratulations to you. He just ran 100 miles 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, at Across the Years in Arizona.
Fresh off.
Yeah. Couple other accomplishments. If I remember correctly, you did 1,000 push-ups every day for 30 days, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
All right. And tell us the third one.
Well, I did that, and then I planned out my first time I actually started running was in 2017. So just 2.5 years ago. And I said, I'm going to run a marathon every month for 1 year. And during that time, I got a little excited. and I did 3 triathlons and 3 ultras. So
wow,
it was a busy
awesome.
year. It was a busy year. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get right to it because this same time's out of 1 hour, so I want to give you a little. Okay, so what have you learned as far as preparation for all this events that you have done so far? I mean, in so little time. I mean, 2.5 years. That's amazing. I mean, I've been running since late 2014, and I learned a few things, a little bit, not that much, but it's not so much the time, but how much work you put in. So tell us, how do you prepare for race day, or what is your week off or the day before ritual that you have found that works for you so far?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you guys hit it all. Like Tony, you guys were talking about, and then Nelson. I mean, you guys said all the right things. The massage, I do the same thing. I fast. I do a 24-hour for my cells to replenish the autophagy effect.
Yes.
I do drink a lot of water, but I'm also making sure that I have some salt in me. I'm retaining some stuff. I taper down about a week or maybe 2 weeks. It depends what race I'm doing. If it's a long one, if I've done it before. Nutrition is super important for me in regards to that day and leading up to that. So, I mean, you guys hit everything. One thing that I do personally is I start taking iron pills that week before.
Interesting.
And so iron, not that I'm iron deficient, and most of us aren't, mostly women are. They would be more iron deficient. But I do it to help my red blood cells transport oxygen up to race day. And
interesting.
Yeah, so I like to take some iron pills that week. And it helps me making sure that I'm transporting oxygen good through my red blood cells. And that's pretty much something different that I do. And I will take with me arnica pills that are chewables. Inflammation, because you're on your feet. Your hands are starting to swell up. You guys know exactly what's happening out there. So I try to make sure that I don't have inflammation on me while I'm doing that. So I think that's one of the things, and very important, that we all kind of, we talk about so many different things, but I think one of the things that I learned quickly as I was getting into longer runs was to make sure, especially men, that we have nipple guards. Right? I don't know if it's
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So we didn't mention that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, somebody who's new doesn't know that you're out there, it's gonna hurt. You know what I'm saying? And Glide or chafing, Aquaphor sprays, things like that, because
that's important, because I've noticed, especially on the longer runs, especially when it's hot, if there's any point where there's a drawback, or if I have crew, I will get a Body Glide or a Vaseline or something and throw it in the bag and have it ready, because what happens to me is once I start sweating, all the salt that's coming down on the side of my head, especially if I pour water on my head, all that goes down into my clothes.
Right.
So then I start chafing.
Yeah.
And normally I carry a tiny one with me in my pack. And, like Joseph is saying, lip balm. That has saved me too before. It's really important. I'm glad you touched on that, because I've seen some posts in the past year of people that should know better, and I'm like, ooh, I see the shirt, I'm like, oh. I learned quick too. When I started running, I was like, okay, I know I'm prone to that, so I don't get out without Band-Aids, for sure.
Listen, we're already in other pain, right? We're already in our mind doing
yes.
something else. Just like you guys talked about the phones and so many different things that can affect you. The last thing you want to affect you is going to be, right, a rash up in here or somewhere else that you don't want, that you can just avoid that pain,
Yes. Yeah, like when you have your pack and you're sweating and all that salt is building up right here. So yeah, you'll end up with like shaking all over the place. Yeah, that's. I'm glad you touched on that. So
yeah.
What else, man? What else do you do on race day? Like during the race, when do you start fueling? Like when do you Do you wait until you feel you're hungry, or do you set like a little schedule, a little program? How do you do it?
So basically, the morning of, obviously, we've already talked about the week leading up to that. But that morning, I've already made my special kind of food in the morning, which is rolled oats with almond milk. I put some bananas and about a half a scoop of protein. But okay. I do plant-based protein. And so then I mix it all up, overnight oats. And so that's kind of like a little cup that I have in the morning. And I start hydrating. I should.
How early before the race do you normally try to have it?
I do it like 2.5 hours before.
Okay.
Depending where it's at. If I'm close to the race, I wake up early and I get everything done in my body. Make sure I go to the bathroom. Make sure that I'm going pee two times mainly because I'm drinking so much water.
Yes.
And I'm feeling good. I also try to roll out my body, stretch a little bit, make sure there's blood going through me, and kind of check myself, see where I'm at. Did I get good sleep or whatnot? But once I start the race, for this 100 across the years, I was checking in with myself about every hour, and I was getting in a snack. And just like Nelson said, I think it's very important. I was taking in
just to keep a good level. Yeah.
Correct. I was taking in 400 to 500 calories.
Nice.
And it was just snacks though. But when I was really eating, like potato with rice soups, or really munching on some food, some solids, was about every 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
And then I would let that digest because it's more solids.
Yeah. So
I would make sure that I'm getting that in when I'm going to walk 15, 20 minutes and then hit it again so my body can absorb it and digest it. And what I was kind of doing for my gels, I found this new company, or not new company, but they're really natural and really good instead of like, and nothing against the gels that are out there, but these are more natural based fruits. It's a company called Spring.
Yeah, Spring Energy. Yeah.
Yeah, and they work great for me, and I love them. And they give you the.
I haven't tried them, but I see a lot of people that use them, and yeah, they say good things about it. I haven't tried them. I personally stopped using like gels, the regular gels they hand you at the races about 2 years ago. So ever since then I've been trying to incorporate more like just like food, like solid food, and more than anything trying to dial in the hydration a little more. But yeah, I heard those are pretty good. Yeah,
they're really good, and they're higher in calories, so you don't have to take where you would take 2 to 3 gels to make up, maybe 300 calories. You're only taking 1 gel, so you minimize on your pads. Yes. And you can only take 1. They're a little bigger, but it's more natural food. And that's about it. I mean, you guys touched on amazing things. I just wanted to bring something different to the table because you guys pretty much.
Oh no, definitely. Yeah. That's the whole point of this thing we're doing, because like we have a little bit of experience, but there's so much to learn. So much to learn. I think that's the best quality about the three of us, Nelson, Tony, and I, that we're open to learning as much. And I know a lot of people out there are the same way, but maybe a little intimidated. Our whole goal with this thing is just to be able to open information to everybody. Sometimes people feel a little intimidated to ask a question. I myself, I'm the same way, but just trying to work on that. But this is one of the ways. And thank you for coming on with us. If we do time out, we'll start back up and we'll add you again, just because there's a lot to talk about.
One of the main things I think before I go here, and thank you guys. First of all, I just want to say thank you guys. You guys are an inspiration to a lot of people out there. Anytime runners, anytime boys. What you guys are doing in a short amount of time and coming out there and sharing it with other people is amazing. First of all, thanks for including me. I will be there this Sunday to run with you guys, 22.
Nice.
Get back on the trails. But one of the main things that Tony brought up earlier was the most important part is expect the unexpected, because it will happen. Yes. And you have to mentally prepare that you're going to go through rough times and you're going to go here and here, and how you're going to deal with that, because without the mind, the body will not go. And I think that was the biggest thing of preparation that anybody can do. And it's all up in here. So
Exactly, and that's another thing I want to ask you about. I want to talk about. That's why I'm saying if we do time out in the next 10 minutes, we're gonna start back up. So everybody else watching, if we do time out, please just go back up when we start again.
In fact, actually, I think this is the best thing that we can do so that we don't get cut off and have to start the topics over. I'm gonna end this live right now, but I'm gonna immediately start it back up. So everyone who's watching right now, hi guys. Everyone,
thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you.
I'm gonna end it right now, but I'm gonna immediately start it back up. Please hop back on because we want to keep this rolling because this is such a great subject, and I definitely have a few more things that I want to share, but I didn't want to share them until you heard from Gus, Nelson, and Cesar. So I'm going to end it right now, but please, please, please come back on, and we'll maybe even take some questions, and if anyone else wants to hop on, we'll let you on.
Yeah, that's the best thing we can do, just so we don't get cut off in the middle. So we're going to add you in about a minute right now, okay, Cesar?
Perfect. Right, everyone, ending it right now.
Hang on.
Please hop back on.
Thank you. Let's see. Let us know if you can hear us.
Hold on. Let me.
I can hear.
Hold on. I think now we can hear. Can you hear us now?
I can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody else? Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, we're back. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Joseph. All right.
So, yeah. What I was saying is also I want to touch on the mental aspect because it's very, very important. The mental aspect, you're going to get to the point, especially on the longer races that, I mean, believe me, I have bunked on a 20-mile run. He can tell you. Diana was there. Michelle was there. You know, I ended up doing 15 because it's just mentally I checked out. But, yeah, the mental aspect of the race is also very important. It's something that you need to know that it's going to come. And you need to know, okay, what are you going to do? Like, what you have to accept it and embrace it and go with it, roll with the punches, right? Like they say. So I noticed last week that you had I don't remember if it was in your stories or your post, which I always enjoy your stories, by the way. Thank you for that. That you know, your daily message is always great to watch. And I noticed last week, I want to say it was in the stories that you mentioned, okay, when you get to a spot where you're mentally down, where you're feeling kind of in a dark place at the race, and you embrace something. So what was that about?
Mine's a little crazy, but but basically everybody has to go somewhere that when they feel something is so hard, they have to have what we call a trigger word or a trigger sense or something that triggers them to overcome the difficulty in front of them, the challenge, the obstacles, the adversity, all these different things. Mine is get evil with it. Because it's a little crazy, but I just tell myself, really? Like, get evil. Like, get so evil that you're more evil than what's going on right now.
Whatever's coming at you, yes.
Coming, because I got to get, in order to confront evil, I got to be evil. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that like, okay, I got to embrace this pain.
Yeah,
I got to embrace this obstacle, whatever's happening right now in my mind, in my body, in my soul, and I got to match it, and I got to overcome it.
Overcome. Yeah, more than anything. Yeah, there you go.
So
Yeah.
everybody has to figure out what that is. You know, it could be a positive affirmation. It could be thinking about, I do that a lot. I think about my dad who passed away, and I think about like he'd be so happy, so can't let him down. I think about inspiration, people like yourself and other runners who were checking in with me on my 100-mile race. And I said, I can't let them down. They inspire me, and vice versa. And so there's so many things that go through all of our minds, but you know, we need that. We need that for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. What about you, Toy? What are you when you're down on yourself?
All right. Well,
what do you think about? What do you tell yourself?
all right. Well,
See, Joseph Self thinks, let the demons out.
Yeah,
Diana said, I got this. So yeah, those are great things. What about you, Toy?
so I'm gonna just move it a little bit, just so it's facing a little bit more towards me. Anyone who's listening right now, anyone who's watching, wherever you are, whether you're here in Southern California or whether you're halfway across the world, because I know that we do have some followers in other parts of the world, especially if this upcoming race, Sean O'Brien, or any other race that you might have coming up is your first time going into a new distance. I'm going to try to put myself mentally right now at the start line and tell you how I would go about things. So, I would do my best to show up early and show up smiling. No matter how much pain you're in at any point during the race, a smile, even if you have to force it, can take it all away. And I've had plenty of times doing these crazy long runs, even in training, where it's happened to me, and I've just forced a little smile and somehow been able to trick myself into feeling better. You have to be absolutely confident and absolutely self-assured in yourself that you will finish. Don't ever, ever let yourself toe a start line that you aren't 100% confident that you're going to come right back around as a finish line for. So any race that you toe the line at, just be confident that you're going to finish. And you might not, because unfortunately that's the reality of these extreme events, is that you might not finish. And if it was a guaranteed finish, we wouldn't do them.
Yeah, it will just pay and that's it. Hey, I did it.
But you can do it. You have to believe in yourself that you can do it. The only DNF that I have so far in a race was because I showed up to the start line not knowing that I was going to finish. I actually hadn't even come to terms with the race. I maybe, in fact, went into it overconfident and underprepared. And by underprepared, I mean not so much physically, but mentally. I thought that I had a guaranteed finish and got 20 miles in, started throwing up and couldn't handle it and dropped out. I don't regret it, because had I not DNF'd that race, those 2.5 years ago now, there's no way that I would have really been able to learn how much pain and how much depletion I can truly endure in an event. You have to know the course going into any race. If you don't do the research on the course, you're just setting yourself up for failure. I know that there's some people that, they keep it as simple as possible and they won't look at the course, and that's fine if it works for you, but give yourself the advantage. know the course, know the climbs, know the aid stations, and most importantly, plan for cutoffs.
That's a big one. That's a big one right there.
Because if you know that you need to be at mile 20 by, let's say, 2 o'clock, and it's 1 o'clock and you're barely at mile 15, then you know that you're going to have to do a little bit of work to go those extra 5 miles to make it into the aid station. And again, those times when you're within an hour of the cutoff and you're barely going to make it, that's when it's going to count everything up here. Don't let yourself freak out if you're falling behind on a cutoff. There's no shame in DNFing a race because you didn't make a cutoff.
Absolutely not.
As long as you push, as long as you try, that's really all that matters. And no one can shame you for that, especially yourself. You know, the simplest way to go about running an ultra is basically get to the start line. When the gun goes off, put 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other, all the way until you go around the course and come back. Don't stop until you finish. It sounds very simple, and it is.
It's simple. It's not easy. It's simple.
But it's really not easy, like Gus was saying.
It's simple.
You just have to keep moving forward. Of course, if you didn't want a challenge, you wouldn't sign up for these races. So you might as well get your money's worth, and you might as well see how far you can push yourself. One thing that I've learned over the last 200s that I've done, it's way better, in my opinion, to suffer out on the trail than to suffer in an aid station. Because if you're out on the trail, even if you're suffering, even if you're in pain, even if you're hungry, even if you're dehydrated, whatever it may be that is giving you a hard time, as long as you're moving forward, even if you're crawling, you're still making progress, and that's still better than suffering through whatever it is that you're suffering through in a dead stop at an aid station. The clock is always running, and it's not waiting for you. So,
yeah, there's no shame in timing out. That's for sure. If you timed out because of whatever, right? Because you didn't have the legs to hit the climbs like you needed to make the cutoff and all that, there's absolutely no shame in timing out. The thing is, you have to know your cutoffs, because if there's a certain cutoff at mile 50, for example, and you're having a low spot at mile 30, and maybe the next 5 miles are going to take a little bit longer than you expected, but at least now okay, I have this much buffer time. And that's something that if you have a crew on one of those races, the crew can also tell you, can also remind you. But ultimately, you're the one wearing the bib. You're the one that committed to do it, and it's your responsibility to finish. It's not your crew, not your pacer, not the volunteers, not the race, none of that. And I think more than anything, use the tools. Use the tools. We have all these tools available now. All these gadgets, everything, all the information available online on your phone. I mean, I hardly ever use my computer now. Now everything I do on my phone. The tools are there, but just use them. Use them. Why not? I mean, what about you, Cesar? Like, what do you do in that case? Like, if you're falling behind and you think, okay, do you just suck it up? Do you give yourself a little extra time? What have you had that situation before where you're like against the cutoff, or because again, there's no shame in timing out, but I think the most important thing is like not giving up, and that's one thing that I always tell everybody: don't give up. And I don't mean be reckless. I don't mean if you're injured or if you're hurting, that's a complete different story. What I mean is, like, don't give up as far as, like, think, oh, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna try. You know, oh, I only have 1 hour. No, there's no way. You already giving up. You know? So there's no shame in timing out. No shame at all. Have you ever had that to fight against cutoff or something like that?
Yeah. So 3 things really quick. One thing what Tony said right off the bat is I saw a change in him, and he was talking. He went like into his space and started visualizing exactly what he does that race, which you can see, and then he started smiling. And that's super important. Just to touch on that really quick is you need to visualize all that before the race. You need to see yourself through the ups and downs and finishing it, right? So that's super cool, and smiling is super, that's what you need to do. Smile the whole way. Smile. Two, what you guys were talking about was checking in with yourself and all that. Super important to know yourself, have self-acuity, self-awareness, right? Understand yourself. Everybody's different, right? And they handle different things in different ways. And so you need to know what works for you and how to tap into that and how to overcome certain things. And you need to know yourself best, right? And third, which you just asked me was, we need to fail in order to succeed. So we need adversity, or strength is built through adversity. Strength through adversity. And so I have gone through where I didn't make a race due to time and DNF. But exactly what you say is you give it your best out there and you learn from it. You have the self-awareness and go, what happened? Was it my training? Was it my nutrition? Was it my visualization? What happened at this race so that I can make sure that I'm getting better, whether I do this race or for the next race? Because it's always about, in life, just to always learn, be better. Learn and be better. If I throw out the trash today and I did an okay job, can I do it better tomorrow? And then the better the next day and better the next day. It's just a concept that I live with. And it doesn't matter. I just did the 100 across the years, but can I do better? Right? Can I do better than that? And what else can I do? And it's just one step at a time. It's levels. Nobody just started running 100 miles. We did a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, a marathon, and you move up and your body adjusts. And there's an acclimation that we all go through in order to gain that. And then, so, I mean. Yeah,
no, and it's crazy how, you don't want to fail, right? You never want to fail. Inside you, you're not thinking failure, and it's not necessarily a failure. It's just a learning experience. But when something does happen to you and things go south, and where you don't finish or you barely finish, or you DNF, like it happened to Tony and it happened to me. I'm telling you, it wasn't anything crazy. It was a 20-mile race, and I ended up dropping to the 15 because I just didn't have it that day. And interestingly enough, that triggered me to do more. I learned so much more just in those 15 miles than I could have in 100 mile if everything went great. So, sometimes you have races, events that everything goes well, and you learn, okay, yeah, oh, I did this and that worked. Okay, oh, this shoes feel great. I'm going to get the same exact model. It was the shoes, man. It was the shoes, I swear. This socks, the socks right here, the socks and shoes are great. But it's all in your head, right? But the races that haven't gone my way, that's where I learned the most, So a lot of times it's important to embrace that, not to feel down on yourself, but embrace, okay, what's the chance here? What's the opportunity? What am I going to learn today? Because like Kevin Hart said, you're gonna learn today. Especially on the long stuff.
I learned this from watching a show with Kobe Bryant, and what he said was perfect. Was every time he missed a shot, a big shot, or something went wrong, he would go that day and watch video of what happened. Okay, many people, even pro athletes and all of them, are afraid to confront the negative stuff, the failures, but you should embrace that, because that's where learning is made. That's where becoming better is made. So we won't make those mistakes or try to make those or minimize those mistakes. But a lot of people will fail or will do something and hate to confront it, and they don't learn from it, or they get depressed or they get on themselves. And we can't allow that to happen, because that is where learning is made. That's where the gains are made, internally and in different ways. So
nice. Yeah, that's another that's the big purpose of this whole thing that we're doing, just so we can share all those things with everybody. It's not all great all the time. We have learning experience. Like Albert just said, there's no failure. It's just learning lessons. So, and we have plenty. Believe me, we've had plenty. I've had plenty myself. Tony can tell you. I mean, I don't even know where to start. So many. But I mean, you name it, from being caught on a mountain without a light to DNFing a 20-miler. It goes. It's interesting, because in the little time that I've been running, I haven't been running a long time. I'm not the best at it by any means, and but again, I think that's what's important about the group we have, is that we're willing to learn and share as much as we can.
hey guys, I'm gonna go, because my phone, I got like 10% on my phone.
Yes, go for it.
It's probably gonna die, so I don't want to just leave.
Listen, thank you so much for jumping in with us. Thank you for your time. Thank you to everybody that's been watching. I think we're going to do maybe like another 10 minutes and let everybody go, because, yeah, it is getting late. But thank you. And we are going to have you on again. And, we got to keep the conversation going. So we should talk about strength training and how important that is to running, because a lot of people we have that in the plan, believe me. So we're gonna do it with you. Thank you, Cesar. Everybody, please go follow Cesar. This guy, he's a great individual with a great message every single day. Believe me, you won't regret it. So thank you, Cesar. Have a good evening.
So I'll just say a couple more things before we close it out. Running ultras as a whole is a very selfish thing. Beyond the fact that you get to do it with friends, we're grateful to be able to do it with a lot of you guys that are watching right now. You guys inspire us. But overall, it's a very selfish sport. You sacrifice so much, from work, family, friends, and even yourself to go out there and put in the work and put in the miles to make it all the way to race day. One thing that, I want to let Edith know specifically, because Edith has been a supporter of Anytime Runners from the beginning.
Thank you, Edith.
And we've seen you progress over the last couple of years, since you started moving up in distance. And I've seen all the work that you've done, and I've had the pleasure of sharing the trail many times with you, and it makes me very proud of you. I want you to go into Sean O'Brien 50 100% confident that you are going to go the entire distance. It's not going to be easy, but you got this. You've done all the work and all the training. And the thing about training is it's not just subjective, and it's not just objective either. Everything that you've done over the last few years is going to help you on race day. Everything that you've been doing the past few weeks, specifically for this event, is going to help you on race day. That's all that ultra running is all of the work and all of the miles that you put in, because race day is just one day. You can make it one day. It's literally just show up, go run from aid station to aid station, eat and drink along the way, say hi to your friends, thank the volunteers, and you'll make it. your hard work was everything that you did leading up to that. So I just want you to know that I truly believe that you're going to have an amazing race and that you're going to do very well. For anyone that's going to be out there, not just a Sean O'Brien or any race coming up, I want you guys to go out there to whatever your event coming up is and just be as selfless as possible on that day. What I mean by that is, from the beginning, thank the volunteers every time that you come in and every time that you leave an aid station. If you see someone out on the trail that's having a hard time, going through something, whatever it might be, it's not going to kill your race to maybe take a moment and just talk to them, get them a little advice, get them a little motivation. I can't tell you how many times I've been on the trail where, I'll be carrying something in my pack that maybe I've been looking forward to eating or drinking, and I come up on someone and I see that they could use it way more than me, I'll give it to them. The thing about ultra runners too that I've noticed is that a lot of them are stubborn and a lot of them won't take things from you if you offer it to them. So if you see someone that's bonking really hard and you have something that you think will help them, just give it to them. Make them take it from you, because something about ultra runners, if they're
Sometimes you
offered
have
something,
to literally shove something down somebody's throat.
It's happened to me before where I've been the one getting something shoved in me.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. But hey, 10 minutes later, I'm back and I'm ready to run.
It's getting late.
So
late night talk. Switch the channel.
Make sure that you take the time to thank the people that are going to be out there supporting you at the end of the race. Hopefully some of you guys have friends and family that care enough about you and that realize just how hard what you're doing is, and are going to come and support you either along the way by crewing you or at the very end. And hey, just speaking to Sean O'Brien solely, Kira Henninger, who's the race director and a huge supporter of Anytime Runners, she is going to be at the start, finish, from beginning to end, making sure that every single person that shows up will hopefully come back a finisher, and she's going to personally be there to congratulate you. Give her a little thank you, because the truth of the matter is it's a lot of freaking work. If you've ever been to any of our group runs that we host, you have probably seen the work that we do to just host the group runs and make them as inviting and as smooth as possible.
Get on the route, and figure it out and clean and all that.
What she does is
like
100 times that.
100 times more.
So, that's really all I have to say. I'm sure if anyone has any more specific questions, a couple things that we didn't touch on are, how to pack your race day pack or your drop bag. But those are kind of more technical things. Shoot us a DM, either one of us, and we'll share with you what we do.
On the main account. Doesn't matter. Any further questions, subjects, things that you're not sure about that you want to ask, by all means, this is an open forum for everybody. This is for us to learn together. Again, we don't know much, but we can only speak by our previous experiences, and the world is, full of people with a lot of different experiences that can tell you different things, So thank you again to everybody watching. Thank you to Cesar. Thank you for your time, and Nelson too. Hopefully next time the three of us are in the same spot. And I guess my final words for today are, yeah, everybody is doing a race, whether you're doing it, Sean O'Brien, where you're doing something coming up and you're preparing, or you're not sure. Do the work. You can do it. Know that you can do it. Just figure out what it's going to take to do it. Use the tools. Use the website. Use tools like this. Use us. Ask, okay, what does it take? You can do it. More than anything, when you have a low spot, when you get to a spot where you're like, okay, maybe you have energy, but mentally you're checked out, just always, before you go into the race, have something to fall back into, a little something that you're grateful for, like Tony said. And one thing about what Tony said is sometimes you're not feeling well, but you helping somebody else will actually help you feel better, which is crazy, but it works. I mean, there's been many times that I'm hurting, I'm struggling, and then I'll look, hey, how you doing? Oh, I have a gel. You want it? I'm like, oh, no, here, take it. Okay. And then all of a sudden, just watching them feel better. Now I feel better. Now they're talking to me, and now the whole interaction back and forth is actually making me feel better. So yeah, just have something in the back of your mind, something to fall back into. Again, just like I said, with the nutrition plan, your drinking plan, your race plan, also have something mental, something that you're going to fall back into. And I'm going to share something with you. Something that some people do. They'll take a picture of their kids, their wife, a place they want to go to, something that they can look at and that can immediately take them somewhere else. So, for example, look at what I have. I have Biggie right here on my phone. So, believe me, sometimes, my phone is ringing like crazy during my day, blah, blah, like that. But every time I'm trying to do something and my phone rings, I'm like, now what? But then I go pick it up and I see Biggie with a big old smile. I'm like, oh, okay, just something, something that will make you. I see people sometimes running with like a little toy on their pack, and I was like, okay, what's that about? Until one day I asked the lady, and she's like, oh yeah, it's my son's toy, and he always asked me to put it on my pack so I can carry it with me. So something small, just something to fall back. If you don't have a crew, sometimes in the long races you have a crew, and just like having that interaction with your crew, just looking at their face, that helps. Anything else, Lauren, you want to add?
Yeah, I'm sure you're okay with it, but this is again the profile with 8 stations lined up on it, and some notes from Gus for the Sean O'Brien 100K.
I'm showing you one of my secrets, but I'm not giving you all my secrets. So normally, like I said, on the bottom side, I will write down my notes. Okay, this is what I want to have here. This is what I have there, blah, 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 blah. Drinking, eating, all that. Again, myself, I prefer to eat on the climbs or right before a climb, just because I don't want to feel like my belly is full, bouncing. It already bounces a lot as it is on a downhill. But yeah, this is one example. So you guys can, figure out, do your thing. I've heard people to set up a timer on their phone or their watch every 30 minutes. And they know, okay, every 30 minutes, they got to eat something, eat. So that's a different way to do it. Another, like we were mentioning earlier, another way is like as soon as you get up to the station, and then you like whatever first thing that looks good to you, that's what your body's craving, okay, go with that. But again, when all these things that you do when you are feeling 100% and you go by feel are not working because you're not mentally there, this is my cheat sheet, I guess you could say, to fall back on. Anything else?
That's it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We went extra long today, but there's so much more to share, so much more information. Again, send us your questions, and we'll keep this up because I see a lot of people are interested. So thank you so much. Any feedback is welcome. And we'll see you again next week.
And we'll see you on Sunday as well.
Oh, yeah, Sunday. Oh, I